And I have some questions for you too, because this is a serious matter. As a millennial, and no disrespect, coming from someone from a generation that precedes ours by a little bit, I do understand that there are some frustrations that you guys have about the way the millennials have turned out, and our entitlement, and a lot of the things that we display because of the fact that we're raised in a system of instant gratification, and now that we're in the workplace or we're with other people, we have like this level of entitlement. And I can imagine that might be pretty hard for millennial parents to raise even less entitled children. Like, what is your advice to millennial parents who are raising even more entitled children?
That's a whole other program of
we might need to carry it over to next week or whatever, because I'm serious. Like, I'm like hearing what you're saying. I'm like, wait, but my generation
I would have to
itself
look
is
that
kind
over
of
a little
screwed.
more thoroughly, because I tend to think that people are going to be people no matter where you go, no matter what you do, no matter how you coach, train, or dictate to them what they're going to be. You can't make them be any of those things.
Right.
They have to choose what they're going to choose. If millennials think that they are entitled to things, I say, fine, you can think it all you want.
Do you feel like that's the truth?
Now prove it. I don't think it's possible. I think you can't be entitled to something you didn't earn. You know?
Right. But do you feel like that energy of entitlement is there from, by and large, almost by an entire generation?
Well, I think they believe it. I don't think it exists. I think they're believing in a false prophet, so to speak.
So what happens? What happens when we turn 35? We realize that there is no like, then it's the whole generation we're talking about.
Right.
What happens when my generation, we hit 35? I have peers that think we could eat McDonald's from the age of 1 to the age of 30 and not have cancer at 40. Like, and think that it's totally okay.
Right. Like,
our parents weren't raised on real food.
Right.
At least they might be eating it now, but they were raised on grandma's good food.
Right.
Like non-processed, non-GMO. We think that there are no consequences for our actions. What happens when an entire generation hits 35 and 40 and realizes, like, dang, we're all dying already? And we never
that's called a rude awakening
that we thought were being. But then, okay, so we have children. What did they learn? Because their grandparents were workers. Like, they weren't at home, making grandma's good food. Mm-hmm. What happens to the future? Where is our future going? We have 5 minutes left, but I think
if I had the answers to that, then we could do a whole another 2 more shows on that subject alone. I don't have the answers to that, and
it's a real problem, though. It's right now.
Well, I think this is why the churches are gaining more steam right now, because it's easy to put your faith into God and get this all, come under my wing, and
because we feel
we'll take care of you. Don't worry. Yeah,
we need somebody to put us on the right track.
Yeah,
in our
maybe.
Minds.
I mean, maybe that's what a lot of people believe. Yeah, I mean, they use faith as their means of coping with
escapism.
The reality. The reality is that things are going to get worse before they get better, unless everybody puts in the effort. If people don't put in the effort, trust me, it'll get worse before it gets better. And it already is. We're going to see a lot more of that, unfortunately, in my prediction. You ask me what I see. But then I think we're going to find a balance. It's bound to happen. But I think we're going to see a lot of tragedy before that happens.
We have to bridge these generational gaps. We have to bridge all the gaps, but we really have to bridge these generational gaps, because I found myself at a time like, what, these elders, they don't care about us. They this, they that. And for some reason, I wasn't looking through a mirror at my generation. And as I began to look through the mirror at my generation, I'm like, I don't know who screwed us. Maybe we screwed ourselves, but at the end of the day, we're screwed. Our generation is screwed, and we can't just point fingers, because that's just victimization. Because at the end of the day, it's our problem to fix. No, we can't. We talk about racism. Our generation, we can't look at someone else to fix us. How do you look at someone else to fix us when they're also trying to fix themselves, and they're also concerned about the future? We're getting old. We are aging. We are realizing our mortality. Like, millennials aren't immortal. So we really have to think about the future that we're building with our children, and that's the thing. That's the message that's been on my mind for the last month and a half. It's like, okay, I gotta heal. But no, what are we doing? So me procrastinating on my healing is in turn, I didn't say the F word, did I? Earlier?
No.
Okay. Is in turn, messing up our children. You know, we can't procrastinate on our healing. We can't procrastinate on our healing. You know, we have to focus on our families. We have to focus on other people's families. I mean, have a global family, because if we let the next person's child, you know, run, they say a village to it takes a village to raise a child, right? And we're talking about working together. We can't. The next person's child might be the one you let get away and not say nothing to him because you don't want to argue with his mom. He might be the person to assault your child, or he might come kill you in the future because it was too inconvenient for you to help guide this young man or this young lady in the right way. This is really.
Those are some very heated topics. Hey, that's going to take a whole other program.
That's what I like to talk about. That's what I like to talk about.
Okay.